Hey review family, keep it tight. My name is Jay Morse, the review guy, reviewing music for the love of music, and I'm back again to bring you another video, and in this one I'm going to be covering the new Lauv record entitled How I'm Feeling. This is the debut studio-length album by Lauv, the American singer, songwriter, producer, the all-around triple threat he is. So in 2015 he dropped his debut EP, Lost in the Light, and in 2018 he dropped his compilation record, I Met You When I Was 18, which boasted the huge single, I Like Me Better. He's a very experienced songwriter, being involved with singles from Celine Dion, Demi Lovato, Charlie XCX. And jumping right into it, and I have a lot to say about this record. So basically what Lauv has done on this record is when you look at the cover and when you look at the videos for these songs, or at least some of these songs, different clothing represents a different emotion that make up his identity and how he is feeling. So this is an artistic representation of his emotions through struggles, through his lust, through his boyish demeanor, through his silliness, through his goofiness, through his exuberant delivery, through his lifestyle, through basically everything. Through all of the emotions, the highs and lows, the desperation, the joy, everything that dwells in the gray area section of a spectrum, and everything that is on either side of it. Now, right off the bat, one of the things, in my opinion, with the concept, and this is probably one of my main critiques after really following the lead up to this record, following the singles, following the storyline, and listening to this record now as a whole, I'm not sure that Lauv did a really great job of conveying the messaging of this record in a way that is able to be heard through the music itself. A metaphor that I can use is somewhat similar to a lot of Marvel movies, or just generally some Avengers movies. They expect you to know the lead-in, they expect you to have watched a lot of the movies leading up to it, or else you're not going to get the references, you're not going to get the point of it all, which unfortunately in many ways can make a lot of these tracks sound like just very idealistic, sappy, little bit somber, moody, pristinely produced pop tunes. And when you combine this with both the videos and the music of Lauv just being himself, not embodying any of these colors, any of these emotions, it's not really explained if we're supposed to believe, is this just Lauv talking as a culmination, as an amalgamation of all these feelings, or is he still in this character? What is the differential treatment of all of these themes, all of these concepts? And I know that I have been talking a lot about the concept of this record, but that is such a huge part of it. The reason I have to talk about it is because the lead into this record and everything that has surrounded it, it really does go to show that Lauv is putting a lot into the concept of this record, so it's hard not to dive into the thematic elements. And by far, my main critique of the record right off the bat is that I don't think that from a songwriting point of view, the cohesion is that strong, and I think that it's a really bold and expansive idea. I just think the execution of it can come off a little bit sloppy. Instrumentally, it is a pop album, but it does have a lot of the trademarks that Lauv has had on his past material. I'm talking those plucked guitar strings, interlaced with different piano ballads, upbeat, snappy pop tunes like I'm So Tired featuring Troye Sivan, which was one of my favorite singles in the lead up to this record. It's very bubbly, it's not that hard to understand, it's easy on the ears, and it's instantaneously poignant and infectious, especially that chorus. I think ear fatigue does set in with this record though. This album is 21 tracks. It's over an hour's worth of material. This isn't talking bonus tracks or anything like that. And I think from a production standpoint, everything just sounds so glistening. It sounds so glossy. And even though I do really admire Lauv as a vocalist, and he is one of the more standout pop vocalists in my opinion, and is a cut above a lot of what I'm hearing in the mainstream nowadays, I'm not sure if vocally he has the chops to really carry an album for this long, and more importantly, I'm not even sure if he necessarily has the songwriting capability, because it just seems like a lot of these tracks could have been condensed into one track as opposed to splitting into different avenues. I mean, some of these choruses just abruptly will burst in over and over and over and over without any sort of respite, with the verses being a little bit underwritten. And when you combine that with the fact that it does have some of that mainstream feel of very, very overblown choruses and very, very lackluster, very low-key verses. It's the type of thing that on first listen, you feel what he's doing, you feel the emotion, you feel the passion, but on repeated listens, a lot of these tracks do feel like instrumentally they're a little bit scant, like there could have been a little bit more there as you're getting the repeating melodies or you're getting some of these driving kicks, or just generally some of the very icy synths that layer around in the backdrop. I mean, there are a lot of genuinely great moments on here from a songwriting perspective, and it shows why people bring Lauv on to help with songwriting, because lyrically, he does things in a way that doesn't feel too sappy a lot of times, that doesn't feel too reminiscent a lot of times. I mean, tracks like For Now, which is basically talking about long-distance relationships, or Believed, where he does seem a little bit cocky in the video, and he does seem a little bit happy about what he did, talking about these people that, or a person, we're not sure, I'm not sure, that didn't believe in him, and it's too late to bring them back because they didn't back him to begin with. I mean, everyone's a critic, everyone has a different insight and different outlook and their own bits of advice that they want to give you, but in the end, you got to follow your heart to some degree, because if you don't have that purpose in your life, you're just gonna be a very unhappy person. And also, as someone that does do audio mixing in general, I really am seeing a pattern in how the vocals are being mixed on this record. I think that the way they are layered just gets a little bit repetitive at times. There's not much in the way of embellishments, there's not much in the way of add-ins, it's just usually a frontward type of vocal tracking combined with some layered vocals that will either come in on the chorus or right at the end of a certain line, which this results, again, in a lot of the tracks blending together on that front. And I guess just one little final complaint is there are some very forgettable tracks here that feel like they don't fit in with the theme so much as I might like, but that's when you remember that this is literally just about how he's feeling. I'm not a big fan of Tattoos Together. I think it's one of the more basic Lauv songs on this record. And El Tejano, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I'm not, I apologize. It features Sofia Reyes, and I just feel like it is a little bit of a Latin cash grab. There are so many artists that are trying to do this, and I don't think that Lauv necessarily does it that untastefully. I just don't think it's that original. Now on to some positives. Lauv has so much passion in his vocals and his inflections. He doesn't use that much vocal audio processing or, I guess, general auto-tune or vocal mixing in a way to change his pitch in any way so far as I'm hearing. He does the more heartfelt tracks better than he does some of the more upbeat tracks for the most part on this record. I'm talking tracks like Who with BTS, which I don't like the fact that they're crediting it as BTS. I understand that it will get more clicks if you have BTS in the title, especially when you make a video where Lauv is just sitting at a table. It's the type of thing that it just features Jimin and Jungkook from BTS. I'm a BTS fan, if you guys didn't know. His vocals layering with them just sounds amazing. And the track Julia, although the second verse is just super underwritten and I wish there was more meat on the bones for this track, it's obviously completely talking about his relationship and breakup with Julia Michaels. She obviously has referenced him in a track. I forget the title of the track, but I remember one of her tracks actually referenced him pretty on the nose. I just love his vocals on this track, and it's the type of thing that shows you his dynamics, him going a little bit lower in his range, and his ability to fluctuate between that chest voice and that head voice. But in general, I think this record feels a little bit too cluttered for its own good, even though it is so sweet to listen to. I'm gonna be slapping it with a pretty high score. I just hope in the future that Lauv is able to expose his own songwriting capabilities in a way to flesh out an entire record with a concept that is as wide as this, but make it a little bit more executed. Because as I'm watching along with these videos, and I was watching all the different videos that he released in conjunction with this record, I think it's a little bit hazy, it's a little bit foggy. I don't think there's so much tying it in, and maybe it's meant to be a little bit all over the place, maybe it's meant to be avant-garde, but when you're going so blunt with a concept, I would just like to see it be a little bit more easy to understand, a little bit more easy to follow. I'm all for complex storytelling, but you have to have a trace place to start and finish. But still, there are a lot of tracks on here that are just very catchy, that are very fun to listen to, but still very sad in their approach, very dreary. With the lyricism especially, we're talking tracks like Fuck I'm Lonely and Drugs and the Internet. It's so bouncy, but it still has that emotion to it. I'm talking the closer, Modern Loneliness, which deals with general emotional isolation and general relationships and friendships in the internet digital age, and is something that anyone that is involved with that type of culture will instantly relate to, and it is presented in a way that is just instantly relatable as well. So yeah, catchy record from Lauv. I'm enjoying this. This is probably my favorite strict pop record of the year thus far that I have heard. Like I said, I would just like to see him be able to work better with concepts in the future, and hopefully we can see him grow as an artist, because not only do I think he has a lot of potential, I think he has a lot of talent that we are seeing through his work. I'm going to be giving this album a 7 out of 10. And that is a wrap. Have you heard this new Lauv record, How I'm Feeling? If you have, let me know in the comment section below what you thought about it. I would love to discuss the record with you. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to join the review family today, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. You know who it is. My name is Jay Morse, the review guy, and I'm signing off saying, farewell.
Go ahead, live your best life.